Hello, long time no see. So, because I never have time to make videos, I make like one video per year. I thought, why the heck don't I record videos as I'm driving? Because I'm always flipping driving. So now I'm driving from the bottom of Finland to the top of Finland. I thought, I got like 24 hours here to, or even longer, to make a video and talk about stuff. And then if I do this every now and again, I'll be able to put more videos out. If you don't mind me talking without any real action in the thing, well, you can see the Lapland roads are pretty empty. Just north of Rovaniemi now. So anyway, this is like the first video I'll do in this sort of format. Let's see how it goes. So let's get the first thing out the way. After 4 years of full EV driving, I bought a plug-in hybrid, and I've now done 33,500 kilometers in it, 8 months. So am I happy with that decision to leave the full EV world? I loved EVs. Am I happy with that decision? Do I like putting dead dinosaurs in this car? This is the Kia Niro plug-in hybrid. The answer to that question is yes, I'm happy. There's no 8 months since I last rapid charged, and I gotta say, it's bliss. It's really bliss not having to rapid charge. I loved EVs, I loved everything about them, but I was not really a fan of rapid charging. And if you followed my channel for any amount of time, you know I drive all over Europe and I work in the Arctic, and I was constantly rapid charging. I'm not one of these people who just kind of stays at home all the time and just charges on AC home charger. That wasn't me. Most of my charging, reindeer, most of my charging, God, they're so camouflaged now. Late summer, they've got their summer camo coats on. You can see them better in the winter when everything's white. What was I saying? Yeah, I rapid charged a lot. So, after 4 years of rapid charging, it was getting highly annoying, shall we say. I loved the EVs I had. I loved the power. I loved having zero tailpipe emissions. That was one of the key reasons I got it. So it's disappointing now that I have tailpipe emissions in the plug-in hybrid. But it's a trade-off, because having a full EV and working in the north of Finland, it wasn't easy, or at least for me in my line of work. Like, I own sort of like an adventure company, and I take people out to various places and go out aurora chasing in the nighttime and stuff. I have to go and get people from airports. It's like a long drive, 2 hours each way to the airport. Can be in minus 35. So I was having a bit of difficulty. Well, I've always had a bit of difficulty with the EVs in Finland, because the charging network used to suck big time here. But the charging network's much improved now and getting better all the time. But it still didn't negate the fact that you still had to charge quite often. And in the summer, right, when you get full charging speed, full range, it's no problem whatsoever. Doing like massive drives, like 1,000 kilometer drives in like spring, summer, autumn, it takes exactly the amount of time in an EV as it does in a combustion car. That was no problem. If only it was like that 12 months of the year. But it was that like 4 or 5 months in winter when it was cold and the battery would be cold. It would charge super slow. There was no battery heating in my cars. yes, you've got battery heating now, but another problem in Finland in winter with an EV is your range is decreased. So I had the e-Niro 64 kilowatt hour battery, and like some days, and I'm no word of a lie, some days I would lose 50% of the range. 50%. So if like the WLTP predicted range is like 400, okay, the real time, real life predicted range is about 400 in the e-Niro. In winter, some days it was 200. I could only do 200 kilometers. That's like 120 miles. That's not good when you live that exact distance from a charger. From a rapid charger. So I had a bit of trouble with that. I almost missed Christmas. Last Christmas, I almost missed Christmas because I was working in Lapland right up until like two days before Christmas, and then I had to get an overnight train from Lapland to the south of Finland, and I almost missed that train because it was cold, fresh snow. The charger that I plan meticulously on my EV trips. I know, right, I'll use that charger. If that's out of action, I'll use this charger. I'm a good planner. I've been doing it for 4 years. I know what I'm doing. But the charger that I planned was out of action, and unfortunately there wasn't any other choice. So I had to drive to another town to use that charger. That charger wouldn't work. And then bearing in mind I had a train to catch, and I did factor in that I would need to charge like maybe 45 minutes to do this 5-hour drive to the train station. I factored that in, but I didn't factor in all the driving around to different towns and faffing about. So this other charger I went to, it wouldn't accept my debit card to pay for the charge, instigate the charge. So I had to phone someone like 1,000 kilometers away. I said, can you install this app and start the charge? I'm next to the charger. The charger number is like 1173 or whatever. Can you start it? And that's what I had to do. It's like, flip my neck. It shouldn't be this difficult. And then I often drive in other countries, like Norway especially. This summer I drove to England in this plug-in hybrid. This summer I drove to Estonia and Latvia. So I'm always driving other places. When I drove to England, I went through Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Holland, Belgium, France, and then England. So that's 7 countries, 7 different charging networks. I know, like, you got some like Ionity and maybe Fastnet who are in quite a few countries. But in every country you go in, you find a new network, and if that happens to be where you want to charge, you have to download the app for that new network to try and get a charge going. And quite often what would happen in the EV is I'd go on the Google Play Store and I'd try and download the app, and it'd be like, oh, Google Play is not registered in this country, you're not downloading it, and it just wouldn't let you download the app, so you couldn't charge. It's like, what the hell, what an oversight. Did they not think people from other countries are going to come and need fuel, need energy to charge the cars? It's flipping, it's borderline racist or xenophobic. Like, no one else can charge here, only Norwegians or only Danish people can charge here. Everybody else can sod off. It's unreal. So sometimes I just couldn't charge, and when those kind of things happened, like, you can't change your Google Play with the country that you've registered in, the country that you live. Like, that, you can't change where you live. That's where it's where you live. So I couldn't change my Google Play to a different country. It's like, it's finished, and that's that. I can't suddenly have a Danish Google Play Store. It just doesn't work like that. But until you get in these situations, you realize how stupid this can be, and like it's just unnecessary. So there was quite a few issues with EVs that made me, and it's, you know, I done it for 4 years. It wasn't like I got one for a week and was like, oh no, I don't like this. Like I liked it. I really did. I love EVs, and I still follow EVs. I'm still in the scene, and I'll have another EV, no doubt about that. So I don't hate them, but for my life and my work, they just weren't quite there. Reindeer in the middle of the road. They just didn't quite fit, especially in the winter. But then you did also have to, even in summer, you know, if you were hammering it on a motorway somewhere. See that reindeer in the middle of the road? Stay. Thank you. So, just life was a bit more difficult than it needed to be in EVs. All the planning in the world, like, you still have to stop and charge, and you still run into problems now and again, and so I thought I could just do the break from all this, you know. I put up with it for 100,000 kilometers, and I was like, I just need a break. And do you know what? I just want to see what it's like having a normal-ish car again, just fueling up on long drives, and oh my god, it's wonderful. I know a lot of you are EV drivers, and you're not going to want to hear that, but full honesty here, it's so easy. It is so easy being in a car with an engine. You know, I don't like the tailpipe emissions, but what can I do? You know, and I've been driving cars for 25 years now. You know, so of all you guys, you've all been driving cars for many years. You can't suddenly become evangelical about it, like, which I see so many people do. They buy their first EV and then they turn into Greta Thunberg. They hate everything about fossil fuels, and I don't like fossil fuels, but like they're a means to an end. But I am a rare use case. I think 99% of people can live with an EV without any problems, especially if you just home charge all the time, or only do the occasional trip. Like people in Lapland, they have a ski holiday. They always come up to Lapland. Did I say people in Lapland or people in Finland? People in Finland have a ski holiday and they drive up to Lapland and in their EVs. And in that instance, it's fine if you run into a niggle, you know, or you've got any frustrations, or the range disappears, or you have to have the heating on low to save the battery. Now and again, those problems are alright, you can live with it, but when it's all the time, year after year, it just starts to like creep up to frustration, and then you just need a break, or I did. I need a break from this. Jesus, it's great, it's crazy. So much time sitting at chargers, because it would charge slow. There was no battery heater in the e-Niro that I had, so some days it would charge at 23 kilowatts on a CCS charger. This is what I had to deal with. So I was like, I need a break. I need a break from it. And also, I just wanted to save time. You know, sitting at chargers all the time, it's not so bad. Well, it's absolutely not a non-issue in summer, because I could drive for 3 hours and then charge when I eat or take a break. So in summer, it was the exact same amount of time driving an EV as it was a petrol car. That was no problem. It was the winter that was the problem, and because the winter's so flipping long in Finland, you know, it does factor in. It does. can get annoying. You can get EVs that have the range that you won't suffer from any sort of range issues. There are EVs with massive batteries. There are EVs with battery heaters, but all these cost big bucks. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. The cost of EVs. It's insane. It's insane. Many years ago, like 5 years ago, when you know, the main legacy manufacturers started making EVs, and their prices were very high, like the Jaguar I-Pace. That was the first real alternative to a Tesla. You had like the Leaf and the Zoe, but the ranges weren't enough. As a long range EV, the I-Pace was the first to come out, because I was looking at Teslas way back 2015, 2016, 2017. I kept my eye on Teslas, and the price was insane. I was like, I'm never buying one of them. Now the price has like come down incredibly. I'm talking, it was 160,000. There was no Model 3 then, so there was the S and the X, and no word of a lie, it was 160,000 euros for a Model S back then. It was absolutely crazy. And those cars now you can buy for 30,000, you know, second hand. some depreciation right there. So the I-Pace was the first alternative to a Tesla, and that came out. I bought that. That was 100,000 euros. The Audi e-tron came out about 4 months after the I-Pace, and that was a similar price. It was about £5 cheaper. So that was like 95,000 euros or something. No, they're all crazy prices, and it said, oh, because they're such a niche now, they're expensive. But when EVs become mass produced, you've got economies of scale, and the price will come right down. Has that happened? No, it hasn't. Like, the prices are going up. When I wanted to get rid of my e-Niro after 2 years, I looked at all other EVs. I looked at the new Kia e-Niro, because it had the battery heater in it, which would solve my cold charging problems, but it would only make my range problems worse, using like, I don't know, a few kilowatts to heat the battery for an hour or two. That's less driving, less energy I have to drive. So already it used to suffer with a lack of range in winter, and if you're using more energy, that problem's made worse. So it would solve one, but it would make another problem worse. So I discounted the new e-Niro, and the charging speed was 80 kilowatts as well, even on the new one. It's like, what the hell are you thinking, Kia? It's like a 2023 model EV that maxes out at 80 kilowatts. And another annoying thing about the e-Niro, and I don't know about the Konas or the other Kia and Hyundai cars, is it would get to like 73%, and then it would just slow right down the charging. So you couldn't charge higher than like 75% really, because you're down to 40 something kilowatt charging speed. So that 25% of range is gone. You can start your road trip at 100%, like from your house, but then when you hit the rapid charges over and over and over again, you're only really charging to 75%. So you've lost 100 kilometers of range. Other EVs that charge quite fast to 100%, or at least quite fast to 90-95%, that's better. Like, I don't know why the Kias only charge up to 80 kilowatts, which is super slow, and then they just drop off a cliff at like 70 something percent. So highly frustrating, the charging on the Kia. I know the EV6 solves all those problems, but the EV6, it was a bit too expensive. So yeah, let me backtrack a bit there. When I bought the I-Pace for 100,000 euros, I sold that like two years later, for 62,000. So I lost 38 grand in 18 months. And that seems to be a common theme with EVs, is they depreciate like crazy. So after I got burned with that experience, I was like, I am never paying more than 50,000 euros for a car again, especially an EV. So I started looking at EVs around 50,000 or under, not 52, not 53, 50,000 or under, which is an incredible amount of money for a car. And I just couldn't find one that would fix all my problems. I needed more range than the e-Niro, and the e-Niro had a fantastic range anyway. The new e-Niro, the price had gone up. I think I got my old one for like under 50,000, and the new one was like 52 or 53,000. So all the prices keep going up. The prices were meant to come down, mass production, economies of scale, and it's just not happening. So this, I looked at all EVs and I was like, none of them fix my issues, and the ones that would fix my issues are just so expensive. It's just not a good financial decision, having been burned from selling EVs. Take it from me. It's a bad financial decision to spend 70, 80, 90,000 on an EV. It's gonna depreciate, and you're gonna lose so much money. So don't do it. Or like do it if you really want to, but if you don't want to piss money away, really try and buy a lower priced EV. And then the lower the price the EV costs, the lower depreciation you're gonna lose. Like that e-Niro that I sold, I lost like I think I lost about 16,000 on that, and that was 2 years old. So better than 38,000 that I lost on the I-Pace, but still 16,000 euros lost in 2 years. No, it sucks. So I was like, I'm fed up of losing money on these EVs when you sell them. So but I didn't want to go full, 100% fossil fuel. That's stupid. There's no need to do that these days. I actually first thought, right, I'll get a cheap little EV for driving all locally, like what you call them, a Mia, for those little who made those? Was it Mitsubishi? And then there was a couple others, all the same. They just put different badges on them. I thought one of them, they're cheap, like less than 10 grand used. Or I'll get a used Mark 1 Nissan Leaf or something like that. I thought I'll get one of them, some cheap and cheerful EV for all my local driving. That will solve that. And then I'll get like a very good frugal fossil fuel car for the long distance driving, which solves all the charging and range issues. But then I thought, hang on a second, that doesn't sound very environmentally friendly, having to buy two cars. It's not the best idea. If everybody done that, it's not good. That can't be the solution. So then I thought, what about a hybrid? I've never had a hybrid. I've never really driven one, like a plug-in hybrid. I know some hybrids are like, they don't do much. Just a very simple hybrid with like a tiny battery. They don't do much. So I wanted to do all my local driving in electric. So I needed a decent sized battery. So this new 2023 Niro came out. And the problem with the old ones is you needed the engine to make the heating work. So in the winter, the engine would be on for the heater. So that's stupid. It's like, well, I only want to drive to the shop, 5-10 minutes away. I don't want the engine to come on. But this new 2023 plug-in hybrid Nero has an electric heater, just like the e-Nero. It's pretty much the same as the e-Nero until the battery is depleted and then the engine comes on. But even then, when you lift off the throttle, it goes into electric mode, so it's not like a 100% fossil fuel car. Even when the battery is depleted, you're still in electric mode now and again. It's a great car. So I looked at that and I was like, 11.3 kilowatt hour battery, and then from having my e-Nero, I knew the efficiency on that was superb in the warmer months. And I know that I used to be able to do 100 kilometers on about 13 or 14 kilowatt hours of battery. So I thought 11.3, I don't know if that's usable amount or not. I thought that's a significant amount of driving. That I reckon I could get 60 or 70 kilometers of driving out of that battery. So I placed the order, I got the car. It was already on the ship, so I only had to wait a week. I told the guy, I was like, what have you got coming on the ship? Because I hate putting an order in for a new car and then you gotta wait flipping 10 months for it to come. I don't have the patience for that. So whenever I'm buying a new car, I just email all the dealers. I'm like, what cars have you got already coming? That might be in inventory already in the country, or what's coming on the ship? Because a lot of cars just come to the dealers that they just want to sell. They're not every car that gets made and comes is an order. They have like some stock, just some inventory cars. So it's good to ask, what have you got coming? And if they got something coming that you want, you're like, right, I'll take that, even before it's got in the country. So this one had just left South Korea on the ship, and I said to the dealer, like, I want a Cityscape green Kia Nero Fev with the premium pack, so the power tailgate and whatever else that premium stuff does. He's like, oh yeah, we got one, it's on the ship coming, do you want it? I was like, yeah, I want it. So then it came, actually it was a couple of weeks later, it arrived in Finland. It was about 2 weeks, but then I was in Lapland, so I couldn't get it because the car was in southern Finland, so I couldn't get it for like another 3 weeks. So I just sat there. And funny story, the day I was going to pick the Nero Fev up from the dealer, my shiny new car, my e-Nero that I was trading in, it had been faultless pretty much. Like on the first week it had a charging issue, but that was fixed on the warranty in the first week. And no other problems. 67,000 kilometers I put on that car, drove it flipping everywhere in all extreme temperatures, never had a problem. The day I was driving to the dealer, it broke down. No word of a lie. The 12-volt battery, a warning message came on saying something battery problem or 12-volt problem or something. I was like, it'll be fine, I must have just left an interior light on or something. And so I started driving it, and it was driving, and then slowly it started slowing down and things started turning off, and then it just stopped. It just broke down. Well, I couldn't go over like 20 kilometers per hour, and then it just kept getting slower and slower, and then it broke down, left me stranded. So then I walked home, got another car, went and put jump leads on it. I put a battery in the passenger footwell, and I put jump leads under the bonnet to the battery that was flat, and I drove it home like that. And then I tried to charge the battery on a battery charger, and I think it like kind of charged up. Oh, I stuck behind this truck. I think it charged up, so I was like, okay, now I'll go to the dealer. Well, I started driving to the dealer, and it broke down again. And I sent a message to the dealer. I said, this e-Nero's broke down. I can't come and get the car today. Oh my god, what a faff it was. So then I done the same thing again. I think I kept the battery in the car just in case that happened. So I put the jump leads on a battery that I had and drove it to a car accessory shop, and I bought a new battery for the e-Nero, put it in, and it was right as rain. That seemed to have fixed it. But that like LED ring around like the silver gear selector, that was red. Pretty sure that always used to be blue, but that was red. Even when I put the new battery in, that light stayed red, and I was like, that's weird. So I think there was some sort of fault with that car, but having a nice new battery on it masked that fault. So it got me to the dealer, and I got the new car, and whatever happened with that e-Nero, that I'm sure it came on for sale, and then it went off again. So I think they must have noticed that I had a problem. So that was a funny story. The day I was going to get the new car, the e-Nero was like, nope, you're not having it. So I'm very happy with this plug-in hybrid. I drove to London in June, and it was a piece of cake. Just pedal to the metal the whole way, fuel up whenever I wanted. It's great on fuel. It's only got a 32 litre fuel tank, so you get about 650 when the battery is full. The best I've got in electric range is 65 kilometers, which is quite nice. So I can drive 65 kilometers in summer without the engine coming on. So all my local driving is totally electric mode, so there was no need to get a Mark 1 Nissan Leaf or a Miev or anything. This is an electric car in my local area. It's EV. It does everything, and I can even pull trailers with it. I've got the tow bar put on. I can tow trailers in electric mode. I know the electric motor is smaller in the plug-in hybrids than the full EVs, but it's just enough that you can pull a trailer in full EV mode. How sweet is that? Obviously you only get about 30-35 kilometers. Actually yesterday I think I got like 47. I was pulling the trailer yesterday. I think I got 47 kilometers in EV mode. So I'm pretty happy. The running costs are low because it's so good on fuel. It's just so good. I filled the tank once, 32 litres, and that lasted me way over a month. It was like 50 euros. It cost 50 euros to fill the tank, and that lasted a month. Like all my local driving was in electric mode that I charge off the solar panels. And so I got like, I think I've done 2,000 kilometers on 50 euros worth of petrol. 2,000 kilometers. So it's very cheap to run, very cheap. I would say, no, I wouldn't say it's cheaper than the EV, but it's there or thereabouts. They're pretty much the same. As the rapid charging's gone up in price with the energy crisis, so did the fuel. But it used to cost about 20-25 euros to charge. I used to charge at all the McDonald's, which were Shell Recharge. Yeah, Shell Recharge. So it used to cost about 20-25 euros to charge the e-Nero. and then that would only last 300 kilometers. When I'm driving on the motorways, I'd only get 300 kilometers out of it. And of course, you can only charge the 75%. Otherwise, you sat there for an hour from the 75% to the 100%. So I think I only get like 250 kilometers before I needed to charge again, and that would cost about 20-25 euros. And this costs 50 euros to fill up, and I can drive 650-700 kilometers, so it works out about the same. So I think, you know, I always hated hybrids. When I had a full EV, I was like, hybrids are stupid, what's the point? Either have a full electric car or don't. Why this in between? But now, having owned one, oh my god, they're wonderful. They really are. Well, this newer generation of plug-in hybrids that have a big battery, electric heating, you know, it's just an electric car until you drive more than 50-60 kilometers. And other plug-in hybrids like the BMs and some others have really big batteries in. You can do 100 kilometers in electric mode. It's like very, very, very usable electric driving range. So they're more like an electric car than a fossil car. This Nero plug-in hybrid reminds me more of my e-Nero than it does of a fossil car. And then the depreciation on this shouldn't be so bad because it's got an engine in it rather than a full EV. I don't know why full EVs depreciate so bad, but I think they're so expensive. Like, I see a lot of EVs now. When I first started, I ordered my first EV in 2018, and I didn't see any. There was the occasional Tesla Model S, the occasional Leaf, and Zoe. You barely see EVs. Now they're everywhere. You see Skoda Enyaqs and all the Volkswagen IDs and the Seat. EVs are everywhere now. So I think those who can afford EVs, they've kind of got them. But the 80% of people can't afford EVs. 80% of people can't buy new cars. And I'm just making that 80% up. It's possibly more. Like, most people, especially now with this energy crisis and the interest rates going up, money's tight. So why would people get a massive finance to get a new EV? It doesn't make sense. And if you think about it with your head rather than your heart, like, a lot of us wanted EVs, but if you sat down and think about it, all right, okay, we're paying like the full EV version of this car was 7,000 euros more, and that was a factor in why I ordered the plug-in hybrid. I was like, well, I'll get most of my local driving, no, all of my local driving I'll do in electric, in a plug-in hybrid, just like if I got the full EV. But it costs 7,000 euros less, so that pays the fuel on my road trips for like the next 10 years. So why the hell would I buy the EV version? You've got to be sort of like a full EV sort of. You got to love them and just want one, because economically it's not a great decision, and especially if you put it up against the hybrid version of this car, not this is the plug-in version. The hybrid version was like, that was even 10,000 less than this. So you could save almost 20,000 euros buying the normal hybrid version over the full EV. and it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? If you don't want to spend massive money, you're best getting the non-EV version. But even the hybrid version's pretty good. This new generation. It's got usable electric range and really helps on the fuel. So yeah, I'm happy with the running costs on this. I'm flipping ecstatic that I don't have to plan my journeys anymore. That it's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, not having to look at apps. Oh my god, the sort of stuff I used to do. You know, you're driving along, you make a plan, you go, right, I'll charge at this place. You check on PlugShare, like, has it broken recently? Is it reliable? Okay, seems reliable. Everybody's putting green ticks. And then you'll go on the Networks app shortly before you get there to see if anybody's on it. This is like when it was just one or two charges in places. Now there's like banks of 4 or banks of 6. So you probably don't have to do that these days. You probably just drive there and you can get on. Charger congestion doesn't seem much of a problem in Finland anyway these days, but it used to be. Yeah, so you don't have to plan. You know, if I was driving to a foreign country, I'd be like, right, what do I order the RFID tags in advance? Do I get the apps? Then the app says your Google Play isn't registered in this country, so god damn it. All that stuff, having a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, all that stuff. It's fun at first. It really is. It's exciting. It's all new. And for a while, you're like, yeah, I dig this. And I especially at like petrol stations where the chargers were at petrol stations, and you'd look at the people filling up with their dinosaurs. You'd be like, you idiot. Now I'm that idiot filling up with their dinosaurs. But oh my god, the time saved, not only in charging time, I can drive faster because on long trips I always try to conserve energy in the EVs. So now I can drive faster, I can do the speed limit or a little bit over. When I drove to London in June on the Autobahn, I set the cruise control to 100 miles per hour, and that was like, for many hours I was driving across Germany, and it was just so nice just to not give a crap about anything, just go fast. And when you're getting low on fuel, you'll just look at the sign on the road, like next services 23 kilometers. Right, we'll stop there. Glug, let's go. That aspect is nice. The day will come when you can charge EVs in 5 minutes, whether it's like solid state batteries or whatever, or maybe like 2000 volt architecture in the future, where it might be possible to do that. And then that's that problem solved for EVs. I know, like with the EV6 and the Teslas, they charge very fast, so it's probably not such a massive issue with them. But with normal, I wouldn't say budget EVs, but with lower priced EVs that don't charge mega fast, it's still a bit of a chore charging. If you're doing 100 miles per hour on an Autobahn, you're going to have to charge every 2 hours in a lot of EVs, unless you got a massive battery or it's mega efficient. So not having to do that was nice. But the planning time, you know, checking the route, checking the charges, check wherever you're going to be in the destination, you check the charging situation. It's all time. And if you're doing this often, it all adds up. So now there's none of that. There's none of it whatsoever. You know there's going to be a petrol station and petrol stations. because they're everywhere. I do check if I'm going to a town or a city or a destination. I do check if there's an AC charger, because I know it's very nice. I love EV driving. I want to drive in EV mode as much as possible, but I don't want all the stuff I've just talked about. So I'm quite greedy. I want EV mode, but without all the EV stuff that comes along with it. So I try to find an AC charger that I can charge this plug-in hybrid on, and then I can go around all the city and all the sites and all the museums and whatever in electric mode. So that I still check on PlugShare quite often if I'm going somewhere, and if I can plug in every day, I know I can do up to 100 kilometers a day electric driving in this plug-in hybrid, because if I go out in the morning or afternoon, I can drive up to like 65 kilometers, and then I can go back, plug it in, and it only takes 3 hours to charge this small battery up to full, and that's from quite empty. So I can do 100 kilometers a day in electric mode in this plug-in hybrid if I wanted to. So that's very nice if I can do that, because another thing about driving EVs is the air quality. So I want to improve the air quality, especially in built-up areas. I think really, and this is the beauty of hybrids, right? Like, it solves air pollution problems in cities. If everybody had a hybrid and all their stop-start journeys was all in electric mode, there's no tailpipe emissions in the city. If everybody charges every day, and I know it's not going to happen because not everybody has home charging and all this, but theoretically, if everybody in a city owned a plug-in hybrid and kept on top of the charging, there would be no air pollution, excluding all the heavy traffic, all the trucks and buses and all that stuff, which many of them are getting electric now. At least the buses are. So I think hybrids have their place. I used to think they were stupid, but now I am very much a hybrid convert now. I think it will do most of your driving in your local area, like school runs, shops, errands, all that's in electric mode for me. The only time the engine comes on is when I leave the town, when I'm going somewhere, and I can even make it to my nearest city and back in electric mode, which is like I can drive 65 kilometers, so I can do quite a lot of round trips without the engine starting. So it's only like when I really start driving far, the engine comes on. So these newer plug-in hybrids, these engines are more like it acts more like a range extender, because you're just in full electric mode most of the time, and then when you need it, the engine comes on when the battery is depleted. So I think if people got hybrids, if you can't afford a full EV, a plug-in hybrid, which are all cheaper, they're all cheaper than the full EV versions, then this is great. Nobody should be buying 100% fossil cars anymore. They're stupid. Like a plug-in hybrid, that solves so many problems. And not only, there is the discussion about resources. If every single car is an EV with 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 kilowatt hour batteries, that is an awful lot of mining and an awful lot of resources for each car. But if not everybody, but if many people bought hybrids instead, because most people who buy EVs with 400, 500 kilometer range, they're only doing 50 kilometers a day. Occasionally they might do a long drive somewhere. Is it the end of the world if instead they chose a PHEV, and on that long drive they might have to use the engine? If it's only a couple days a year, it's not the end of the world, is it? If most of the year you're in electric mode, your emissions will have dropped by like 90%. That's a nice saving. And the battery is only like 10 kilowatt hours instead of 90 kilowatt hours. So if there's like 10 plug-in hybrids with 10 kilowatt hour batteries, you've used the same resources as one EV with a 100 kilowatt hour battery, or at least in terms of the battery materials. Isn't that better from a more ecological and like sustainability standpoint? I think let's try and use less resources, let's try and mine less. So the plug-in hybrids, I think they solve many issues. I love full EVs, and I will have another one, but I think plug-in hybrids are great. So anyway, I'm very happy with this. I have no plans to change it anytime soon. I would just wish it had a bit bigger battery, to be honest. In winter, I only get like 45 kilometers of range. So I would like a little bit bigger battery, maybe 20 kilowatt hours. That would be more than enough. And then the winter range is good. But yeah, absolutely delighted with this. 8 months in, I don't mind going to a petrol station. It doesn't use much fuel. You know, it's not like it's a V8. I'm only putting in 30 litres at a time. 50 euros to fill the tank. Very, very low running cost. Service, let's quickly talk about service costs. So I've already had 2 services in this car. I've only owned it 8 months. It's been in for service twice. And it was 250 euros, I think, for the first service, and then the last one was 600 something. It was expensive service. So the service costs are a little bit more, but then the next one is only 250 again, which was the same as the e-Niro. That needed a service every 15,000 kilometers, just the same as this. I think the newer ones are longer, but before the 2023 models came out, the service times were like 15,000 kilometers. Stupid for an EV. I didn't keep up with my services on the e-Niro, and I got penalised for that when I traded it in. In fact, the warranty was void. When I traded it in, they were like, "Where's your service stamps?" I was like, "Doesn't have any." And they were like, "You got no warranty then, because if you don't keep to the service schedule, your warranty is void." With keys, and I imagine every manufacturer would do that. It's a nice little get out clause for them. So they try to shaft you on the services with the EV. They don't need them very often, but that's how the dealers need to make money, and that's how they do it. So that used to bother me. It's like, this car does not need a service. It didn't need a service. The brake fluid and cabin filter, it's like, come on, every 6 months it needs brake fluid and a cabin filter, which is that's how it worked out for me because of all my driving. Every 3 months this is needed a service. Every 3 months, because I drive so much. It's every 15,000 kilometers, and I've done that in 3 months, and now I'm on 33, almost 34,000. I've done that in like 7 months. So yeah, the servicing is a little bit more in this, but not much. Certainly not enough to like make that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Still love EVs, still in the circle. Don't unlike me. Don't hate me because I've gone back to having an engine. It matches my lifestyle better. It was hard work in the electric car. It was possible. I still like when people hate on EVs now, saying, oh, they don't work in winter, or you can't drive long distances in them, blah, 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 blah. I always correct them, and I'm like, no, you can. It was good. But as a, you know, that car was a tool for me. And it was frustrating, and it let me down a few times. And it was just easier. It was just easier to not have an EV. And then there's the cost. I was like fed up of pissing money away on EVs. So I'm just biding my time now. I'm very happy taking a break in this. All the weight has been lifted from charging and planning charging, and watching the state of charge and all that stuff. It's like a weight lifted, it really is. And I'm very happy. There's no stress now. I just drive until I have to put fuel in it. It's very nice. The tailpipe emissions, yes, I'm not happy with that, but with my solar panels on my house, I think I'm up to about like 8,000 tons of CO2 I've saved, because instead of getting electricity that's, I don't know, is produced using CO2 methods, I don't know. It says on my little solar app thing, 8,000 tons of CO2 I've saved. So my conscience is pretty clean getting a plug-in hybrid. And as I say, like, it's very, very fuel efficient. Doesn't use much. It's not like I've gone to a V8 and I'm guzzling it. It gets like 60 plus miles to the gallon. This usually it's around 4.5 liters per 100, the fuel. But if I'm driving in my local area, I'm not using any fuel, like, at all. So then it's not, you know, then it's 1,000 mpg. I don't. So yeah, it's the tailpipe emissions. That's the only niggle, and I'm being shafted by the fuel, you know, the oil industry. I don't like that. But it's a means to an end, and until EVs performance improves in the winter and the cold climates, and the charging speed, like an EV, I looked at the EV6 and the Ioniq 5. They would very nearly be good enough for me, but the range isn't, and it's the range was a big problem. You know, my car lives outside all year round, in temperatures down to -40. You can't keep the battery warm all the time. Sometimes you're gonna have a cold battery. And I looked at the EV6 and I was like, yeah, that would charge fast even in the cold. So that's that problem eliminated. But the range is just not enough. That's almost a perfect car, the EV6 or the Ioniq 5. Almost a perfect car, but they need a bigger battery. And I'm not saying like they need a physically bigger battery. Battery technology just needs to improve a little bit, so they can have more kilowatt hours in the same size or smaller. Like the size of batteries and the weight of batteries is astronomical. It's like hundreds of kilos. In some cars, the battery weighs like 600 kilograms, and that's insane. That's just getting silly. So battery technology needs to improve a little bit, so you can have a battery that weighs 200 kilos and is 100 kilowatt hours of energy. So that I'm biding my time now in this plug-in hybrid. And of course, the more energy you can get with less battery materials, the less mining and all that crap as well. So I think we're all waiting on battery technology to improve a little bit. And the battery technology now is good enough for 99% of people. But for me, who drives 1,350 kilometers all the time in -30, it's not quite there. And bearing in mind, like, this is one of the coldest countries in the world, you know, I am a rare use case, and I know that. But in a perfect world, all EVs would have double glazed windows to keep the heat in, because the heater uses 6 kilowatts in the winter, in the Finnish winter, like or in Lapland anyway. When you got it set to like 22 degrees and outside's minus 35, the heater's pulling 6 kilowatts, and the heat is just escaping out the car. It's like they need to be insulated, they need double glazing, they need to be more efficient. They all think about, yeah, let's make the motor more efficient, let's make the battery chemistry more efficient. Make the flipping car heat efficient, and then instead of 6 kilowatt, it could be like 2 kilowatt. You know what I mean? If you're driving for 24 hours, or like I'll do 2 days, 12 hours each, over that amount of time driving, saving a couple kilowatts is a big deal. You know, that saves one whole charging session. If you can save 2 kilowatts per hour, it saves you charging up at least once. All these small savings, they all add up on a long trip. So they need to make EVs more efficient. The battery chemistry needs to improve a little bit. So I really need a 100 kilowatt hour battery, I figured. With all my driving and in the serious cold, when you get the range loss, you know, 100 kilowatt hour battery in the summer, that's way too much for me. I don't need that. But in the winter, I need it, because you just lose some. So that 100 kilowatt hour battery in the winter would be more like an 80 kilowatt hour battery. And then on the long road trips where you can only charge to 80%, you're losing 20% of the battery immediately. And then you don't want to go below 10%. So you're losing 10% of the battery. So you're losing 30% on these long drives, because you can't really go below 10, and you can't really charge above 80. So you got to factor that in. If you got a 100 kilowatt hour battery, it's more like a 70 when you're on long road trips. You can start the trip with 100%, but then charging up, it's more like a 70 kilowatt hour battery. Anyway, holy moly, this video is long. That's everything that's in my head, I think, about the plug-in hybrids and about my switch to plug-in hybrids from EVs. I'm happy with my decision. On a financial standing, cost to run, this is super cheap. It's no different to my EV. It's maybe about 20 euros more on these long trips. Maybe 20. And I'm pulling a trailer now, which I couldn't do in my e-Niro. I couldn't put a tow hitch on it on the previous model. So this is nice. I'm towing a trailer full of logs to Lapland to burn in the winter. It's in the fireplace in the house. And these logs were just rotting away in southern Finland. I cut them down years ago to build a garage, and didn't really have a use for them, so they've been sat there for years. They're all going quite mouldy and they're starting to rot. So I've saved some trees there that are now going to heat a home, and that's going to use way less electricity, all thanks to this plug-in hybrid being able to tow a trailer. Something I really miss doing with the electric one couldn't tow. So yeah, quite happy that I can tow stuff again. Anyway, oh my god, thank you for watching. Hope everything's fine with you. Crazy times we're living in, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.